Hello, everybody. I hope you're good. In Sydney, we had a really rainy day today, but I think it's going to get better soon. I just wanted to quickly show my face so that everybody knows that I'm actually existing. And of course, as well, you see behind me is Action Man. Action Man is who keeps everything alive. So if you don't mind, I'm going to switch off, obviously, my camera. Everybody is muted at the moment. At the end, we will have a Q&A session. I will then unmute everybody so that you can ask your questions, and I hope that I can respond to them then and there. If not, please type your questions into the chat. We will then get back to everybody with the respective answers. So just to let everybody know, this session is recorded and everybody who is attending will subsequently have access to the recording to see it as well. You will find as well some attachments which I put into this webinar, which shows a little bit of an overview of the system itself. Participants will as well get a copy of the presentation I'm going to do. So I'm going to switch off the camera and then we go and get going and we show you what we have and what we are officially launching today. So welcome, ELO Digital Office at the heart of your business. This is a new slogan we've put into this year and late last year, simply to say as well, it is not just about the software, it is about the humans, it is about the processes that are important to achieve a more profitable environment, more organized and more compliant environment. But allow me to first thank all our Australian partners who are helping us to put this presentation together and as well with whom you may have contact. Toshiba Australia, Grace Digital Office, SAU Digital, Next Office Tech and PSQ are Australian partners. And a special welcome, of course, to our partner in Hong Kong. ScanWorld for many years has been a supporter of ELO in Hong Kong. And we are really happy that they have fully certified and that all our Hong Kong customers and prospects will have a certified partner looking after them. For those who don't know us, just a quick overview of the company itself. ELO Global is a company. We are present in over 40 countries. We have over 1 million users, more than 30,000 live installations and 600 business partners worldwide. And we're really happy that we have as well a large number of business partners here in Australia who are not only selling the ELO software, but they're consulting, they're helping companies to be more efficient. And that is the key of success. Large customers you may know, Mercedes-Benz, Bosch. We're really happy to essentially have as well the Airbus Industries. Specifically there we do the accounts payable processing, and the European Air Defense System is really, if you have ever flown an Airbus, you can rest assured that all the documentation, all the invoices are built and paid because everything runs through ELO. Globally, we are well connected to the governments, pretty much every government in those countries where we are present will have selected ELO. We just got informed I think on Tuesday evening that even the German Bundestag is now starting to implement ELO visitor management. And that obviously is a great success for us. We have set up the Australian office in 2005, so we are in our 16th year. It's a privately owned company, and Australia, or ELO Australia, really looks after the Australasian area. So pretty much from the time zones New Zealand to India. These are the time zones we're doing. That includes as well all the countries in between, Singapore, and Papua New Guinea, China, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand, etc., etc. So we have a very large coverage what we are doing here from Australia. We have customers in pretty much any industry. We have been certified for federal, state, and local governments, and we have as well a large number of records management customers specifically in that area. Nonetheless, not only records management has become a key for our success in federal, state, and local governments, but as well the modules that are allowing those entities to be more efficient, whether it be asset management, whether it be accounts payable processing, whether it be records management. At the end of the day, ELO allows those entities to use the system to not just be compliant, but as well to be more efficient in their business processes. We have airlines. We got all the large Australian airlines putting documents into ELO, and this is often the case specifically for transaction regarding to repairs and all these things. So if a plane sits somewhere in Broome and has a technical issue, all they really need to do is go onto the ELO web client, notify headquarters wherever that sits that the plane has an issue, and then a form is created, and that form really then needs to be signed when the airplane lands, so that all the technical areas are already prepared once a plane has arrived. So on average, with ELO, specifically with our e-forms, a plane is in the air roughly 3 hours earlier than would be the case if the plane lands and then the processes only would start. We've got construction company, asset management. Specifically in asset management, they're using our Geotag. That means you can put a document, a photo of an asset into ELO, and it shows you inside ELO where that photo has been taken with heat maps, etc., etc. I will get to that a little bit later. And of course, we're very proud that we are supporting organizations like the Royal Flying Doctors or Kennelly Children's Home, who need to be compliant, yet providing human services for all Australians. So we're really proud having those as well as users of ELO. As of today, we would roughly say that we have over 20,000 users in Australia. More than 200 customers are using ELO daily. And that is not just a heavy implementation. It is often that really just our web client allows customers to access their information that may be stored in the cloud, may be stored at one of our business partners. So our business partners are offering as well ELO as a cloud solution, so that the customer really only needs to log on and have access to their information. For the Australian customers and partners, it is often very important that we have Australian-based support, that we have Australian-based consulting, and that we have as well Australian-based development. We've seen many times that customers are asking us specifically to say, fine, I do not want to have somebody sitting in a completely different time zone to support my system. So in Australia, we have taken the decision that we are providing 360-degree services. And those services are not just limited to our customers, but it is as well available to our business partners. So whenever a business partner may not have the skill set or the capacity to solve a problem a customer has, our team will help them to help you. And I want to mention again ScanWorld in Hong Kong. Hong Kong has always been a good market for us, simply because of the honesty of the people we are working with. And having a certified partner like ScanWorld, who really put a lot of effort into becoming certified, really pays off for all Hong Kong-based customers. So if you are in Hong Kong and you need to have an ELO ECM suite, they are the guys to go. I'm really proud having them on board. For us, it has always been important that we are as well on the government panels in Australia. So pretty much we are on every government panel in Australia, but not just on the state level, but as well on federal level, whether it is the Department of Innovation, whether it is the Department of Defense, Premier and cabinets and all these things. We are on those panels and we have proven to those entities that we can deliver. So that's it for the moment, just for the overview of what we are planning to do and who we are. Let's jump into the ECM suite. I think this is one of the most important slides we have created over the last few years. What we've seen many times is that we have replaced systems, legacy systems, because they were just dead. They were end of life, and in many cases, it was significantly more expensive to just update their legacy system than switching to something that lasts for longer. So what we've done at ELO is essentially created different ways on supporting our customers, supporting our software, and as well making it backward compatible. What you see here in the ELO 20, these are the long-term supported versions. That means that every version, whenever you do something, will always be supported for at least 4 years. Because of the way we work with our customers, one can usually say that is at least 4 years. We have customers who are running currently on systems that are 5 or 6 years old, simply because at this point in time they said, okay, fine, I don't want to upgrade yet. I'm waiting for a specific solution, and now we are upgrading. We are actually, as we speak, in the process of upgrading the majority of our customers. And the reason why they upgrade now is because they know whatever they are putting in today will at least be supported for 4 years. And those 4 years support is not just support from a technical perspective, but it is as well from a consulting perspective. In between those long-term solutions, we have feature solutions. So ELO 21, 22, 23, 24. What that means is that we are allowing customers to upgrade to the interim version if functionality has been developed that will help them in their processes. And I will show you a couple of examples later where that is the case. So we have a new feature in ELO 21, but the customer is currently on ELO 20. So therefore, they can easily upgrade in a very, very fast way the system, because all systems really building on top of each other. Again, those feature systems will always be supported for at least 4 years. So what is the ELO ECM suite at the moment? And I think we believe, or I believe, that we're one of the most comprehensive provider of ECM systems in Australia, if not the world. Sorry for that. So what you see here is that the solutions portfolio is not just limited to archiving of images, of documents. It is as well including workflows. With ELO, the workflows are embedded. The entire workflow engine is embedded, so you would never need to buy a workflow engine. We have seen companies that have purchased specific workflow engines and then subsequently found out, no, we can do it significantly better with ELO. Take an example of SAP. SAP workflows are really, really good, but they're as well very, very difficult to do. With ELO, the workflows are very simple to be created, and I'll show you later how that looks like. We got email management. We have intelligent capture, teamwork, collaboration, information management. Specifically, teamwork and collaboration in the last 12 months has become a key feature of people working at the office and or working from home. ELO has always encouraged its customers, its clients, and as well, if I'm saying ELO, I mean as well our business partners, have always encouraged their customers to think of a way that makes information flow flawless. And that should not be hindered whether the person works at the office or at home or on the plane. Okay, at the moment, there aren't too many planes in the sky, but what is important is teamwork and collaboration. Last but not least, teamwork and collaboration allows us as well to minimize or significantly reduce the amount of emails we are exchanging. The feeds in ELO are object-based. So that means I can discuss a specific document, a video, a picture, without sending around 55 different versions of emails. I can discuss a Word document inside ELO without the necessity to have the Word document always attaching to emails and then have 20 different versions of that document floating around in the email management system. ELO has a full document control feature. But let's have a look as well when we're looking at the ELO ECM Suite. We have modules created over the past few years that allow best practice solutions to be implemented very fast. Recently, we had a prospect and the CTO said, Rainer, I like vanilla. So don't try to sell me something that we need to customize. Show me what you have out of the box. And the Greater Hume-Shire Council, for example, is now doing invoice processing at the fraction of the cost than they were quoted by other suppliers, simply because we stick to best practice approaches. Of course, we can customize, but is it really worthwhile to spend an extra 30% on the cost to achieve the last 5% to make you happy? If you have the money and if you see merit in it, of course we can do it. But in many cases, you should not. Knowledge management. Information shall be distributed and audited throughout the system, throughout your staff. And this is what ELO does with the entire ELO ECM suite. So let's have a look what we have in the core package. What we've seen in the past is that many other systems, for example, are charging for a Microsoft Office integration. Now, in the 21st century, I believe that is ridiculous. Office integration must be part and parcel of the system without any extra cost to the customer. The same is with workflow engine. The same applies to optical character recognition. Every document, whatever you have, every PDF, every Word document, every picture indeed, undergoes an OCR process in ELO, and that makes those documents and objects searchable, not just by the metadata, how it has been put away, but as well by its content. We do not distinguish necessarily between document management and records management. It is one system. Now, obviously, there are different purposes to have those systems, but at the end of the day, it should be just embedded in the system. And that is what we are doing. Teamwork, collaboration, feeds, dashboards, allowing customers and users to set up their own dashboards to see what is important to them. All this is part of the core system. Of course, that includes as well the licensing. So whether you are using the installed client on your PC because you're a heavy scanner and you want to connect your multifunction devices directly into ELO, whether you have a desktop scanner and all these things, then you may actually want to have the system installed on your own PC or laptop. But for many users, it is far more important to have access to the information, to create documents, to have version control and all these things, but they don't want to have it installed. They want just to use the ELO web client. And of course, we have that as well. So for us, it does not matter, or for you, it does not really matter whether you are using the web client, whether you're using the mobile phone client, whether you're using the installed client. At the end of the day, it is one license for one user. That means as well that we do not look at concurrent users. At the end of the day, today, as we speak here, I'm logged on onto ELO from 2, sometimes 3 different devices, my PC, my laptop, and my phone. On current licensing, that would occupy 3 licenses. With ELO, it's 1, because we want to say we don't really care how you get your information or what device you're using to get your information. You don't have to pay extra on that one. Another key feature specifically for ELO is what we call open architecture. Now, I'm not going to say that we can implement or integrate with every system on the planet, because I don't know every system on the planet. But so far, in 16 years in Australia, we have yet to see a system where we could not integrate ELO with. And I'm a little bit afraid to say this, but we were proud that we were the only ones in Australia at that point in time who could actually integrate a document management system with a DOS-based ERP system. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether that is the best thing on the planet today, but it shows the open architecture. But open architecture does not only mean that we can integrate with other systems. For example, there are systems in Australia, specifically in records management, who are changing the file extensions of the documents that go into their system. So essentially what they're doing, they are changing the proprietary format of those documents to store them. We don't do this. A Word document remains a Word document, a PDF document remains a PDF document, and that has nothing to do with access rights. The access rights are managed through different areas. So open architecture for us means as well that we are capable, and we have done this various times, that we have replaced legacy systems who did not have an open architecture. One step further in open architecture is we train you, the customer, or our business partners are training you, their customers, to be self-sufficient with the system. If you want to have a new user, you don't need to call the helpline. We train you to make you self-sufficient. So therefore, the entire processes and as well your annual fees are significantly lower because you will be able doing it yourself. Systems who are closed, who are not allowing their customers to do what they are well capable of doing, they should not exist anymore. It may have been something 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but today open architecture is the key, and that means as well knowledge transfer. So everything you've seen so far is really just the core system. I don't want to go into very detail here, but at the end of the day, based on the open architecture and the best practice approach, we created modules such as invoice management. Recently, and I really encourage you to look up idm.net.au. IDM has an article in there where we are talking about 5 different ways of invoice management. We've seen over many years that invoice management always meant hundreds of thousands of dollars of expenses. But often we have seen that it is not the pain point to really automate everything. Often people just want to know, where is my invoice? Who has approved it? If I'm a one-person accounts payable team or a two-people team, we will be two people with or without automation. So therefore, the return on investment on invoice management really needs to address the pain points of the accounts payable department than just doing automation. A blockbuster for us at the moment is contract management. We have seen the contract management integrated with DocuSign allows everybody to create documents and verify documents and contracts wherever they are, whether that is at the office or from home. But what it means as well is it cuts out the entire paper cycle. You can create a Word document, a contract that has pre-populated fields from the embedded name address register, sending out with DocuSign to the person who should sign the contract. And that is deployed very, very fast. We have seen contract management to be deployed in less than 10 days. Visitor management is one thing obviously important for all of us, specifically now in these times where you need to know who is on premise and who invited those people. Visitor management is a module available in ELO. Intelligent capture I show later. It's really, really good because what you've seen in many cases is that, for example, to do an optical character recognition and then make an extraction of that data to fill into metadata fields. Many companies pay a lot of money for that. With ELO, the smart input is free of charge. So if you have a database with your suppliers, if you have a database with the things you have ordered, whether it's an Excel sheet or a database, doesn't really matter. You can scan that into ELO. ELO will recognize the content and will put the values into the respective metadata fields. So in some cases, without human intervention, the documents are ingested into ELO and an approval workflow starts in the background, and that is free of charge. So there's no need to pay for a module in some cases where you really just have the same amount, same type of documents coming in. E-forms, of course, everything now goes on e-forms. Yeah, you go to the web page, you fill in a few data, it will go in, will be PDF'd, if I may say, will then go into ELO and start a workflow. Geotag is the integration of ELO into Google Maps. But we have created it here in Australia in a way as well that is not just Google Maps. You can have intra maps, you can have any other maps. And at the end of the day, what it does, it shows you where the photo has been taken. But not just the photo, it shows as well the surrounding documents. So if I have, for example, an incident, I can take a photo of the incident. I can have supporting documents and all these things, and I can show on the map where that incident happened. Last but not least, the add-ons are obviously SAP integrations, Navision integration, and Navision obviously is now called Microsoft Business Central, Salesforce integration, Microsoft Teams integration. ELO can be embedded into Microsoft Teams, I think, in less than 10 minutes. So you have Teams and you still have access from Teams directly into the ELO document system. In today's age, SharePoint integration is a must. We have both. We have the possibility to have what we call a one-way integration. That means everything that you put into SharePoint will show as well into the compliant ELO system, whether that's document management or records management. But we have as well the synchronization. So it doesn't really matter whether you are using mainly SharePoint to create and put your documents in, or whether you're using Word and ELO, and then you put this into ELO and it may be published as well in SharePoint. So how does a system look like, just from a look and feel perspective? When you log on to ELO, which in many cases customers really want to have the log-on screen to be branded with their own name, what you really have is a very, very clear way of working. Here are your working tiles. So those working tiles are either the repository itself, your task, your workflows. In tray is the area where you connect your multifunction device to. You got your analytics, and then you have your business solutions, whether that is contract, invoice, or other business solutions. In the center here, you got your collaboration area. So that means the moment you're logging on, you will see if somebody wants something from you. And this is all related to an object. Now, as I said, the object could be a video, could be a PDF document or a Word document. We don't really care. Here is in the middle where you can have your discussions, and you can create your own filters. So nobody tells you what you have to see when you log on to ELO. On the right-hand side, you then really have your workflows, and these are your recently workflows. Even there, you can create filters. So it's a very clear and very clean way of looking at a system. The moment you're going into the archive, into the repository, you will feel extremely familiar, because what you see here is a filing structure. And many of the customers are used to filing structures, and those filing structures are often shared drives. Now in ELO, that's not the case. These filing structures are your access rights points, because they represent what you are allowed to see. Now, whether it is such a sophisticated filing structure like here, or whether it is just a 3-level filing structure, or whether it is records management, different business classification levels, so that doesn't really matter. We do not tell you how your system should look like, but what it shows is that users will very, very fast acquaint themselves with the system. The documents I can put in here by just dragging and dropping them into the system. I have my Word macros, so I can say, put this document into ELO. That means inside Word, I just click the ELO button, and it shows you then the filing structure where you can put your document in with all the version controls and all these things. In the middle of the screen, you see the document. So it does not really matter whether it is a Word document, whether it's a PDF, a video, a JPEG, whatever it is, you will be able to see immediately the document that is in there, whether it's a single page or multi-page. If there's multi-pages, you have your little tabs here on the side where you can then go to the next page. On the right-hand side, again, you can see your collaboration features, whether it is a feed, that means somebody's going to talk to you, or whether it shows whether this document is actually part and parcel of a workflow. If it is part and parcel of a workflow, you can see this here. This little icon shows that this document is actually in a workflow. Important for everybody is the functionality. The functionality is created in ELO in a ribbon band. Whether you click on output, organize, invoice, contracts, or something like this, your ribbon bands are changing. But with the ELO ECM Suite, we have created the favorites. Now, if I know that out of the functionality, I'm going to use 15 functions. Well, I put them all into my favorites. And if I have them into my favorites, yeah, I don't need to tab in between those different tabs here on tops. Yeah, I can just look at this, create new folders, check out, check in, show me the metadata, show the document on in Google Maps. Of course, we have at the bottom our search, our workflows, and our entries. Of course, we have that as well because specifically workflows are hugely important in the daily business processes. ELO, as we said before, has an embedded workflow engine. And this workflow engine is based on visuals. So I can quickly set up a workflow to say, does this come from somebody in Brisbane? And I say I have a yes, no scenario. Green is yes, red is no. No, it doesn't come from Brisbane. Does it come from Sydney? Yes. Is it operations? No. Is it IT? Yes. And then it goes to Jim Beam for processing. Setting up a workflow is very, very easy, and we train, or our business partners are training you, the customers, to be self-sufficient in those workflows. Search. How can I search the documents? Or better, how can I find the documents? You can find the documents not just by having specific metadata forms. You can as well have and show documents based on their content. The ELO iSearch will give you synonyms. Did you mean? You put in procurement. Did you mean this one? Yeah. Or when you have procurement, could be buying. Then you have synonyms. And all those things are within a standard ELO iSearch. You can save those searches, or you create dynamic folders that populate automatically. The in tray allows you to put documents into the system of pretty much any type, whether it is a TIFF document, an email, a JPEG, a Word document, whatever it is. You're connecting, for example, when you scan things, you're connecting ELO straight to the multifunction device. And many of our partners have interfaces from the multifunction devices straight to ELO. You go to the MFD, you say scan to ELO, and here it is. From here, you can then process the entire document. I mentioned before the smart input, so the intelligent capture. A document comes into ELO, and pretty much without human intervention, ELO finds the information on the image and puts it against the metadata fields inside ELO. Now, where that is not possible, of course, sometimes you may actually have to put the number in there because the system may not have found it. So, for example, the invoice number. But with ELO, it is relatively straightforward because the system has been put with an OCR. You actually only need to click on the value you find, and that will transfer the value into the respective metadata form. Again, it is important to mention that the ELO Smart Input is free of charge. So these levels of automation, yeah, can be put in without extra software cost. Business Solutions Invoice will have as well a dashboard. So you can create your own dashboard to say, Gefan, this is information I want to see. Specifically for finance departments, we want to see the cash flow coming in, cash flow coming out. Where are the documents? Are they still in verification, those invoices, or are they in an approval process? Contract management. As I said earlier, ELO has a contract management that works really on the best practice approach. You have your contact details. That means you have a contract partner. And based on the information you put in there, you can then create contracts. And those contracts will be auto-populated with the information you have put into the contract management system. Thereafter, you have the possibility to have your own dashboard. So we have 12 contracts in draft, 2 have been approved, 2 are in negotiations. Some have been finalized and some have ended. And ELO shows you in every single stage, for example, where is this contract? You then have as well with contract management the possibility to get notified if a contract is due to expire. Those areas are part and parcel of the standard ELO contract management system. Geotag, an Australian development. And where the main benefits here really are is I can take a photo of pretty much everything. And if my mobile phone has the location switched on, I have all the data. And when I have all the data, I can look inside the system where that photo has been taken. And therefore, as well, we can see directly into any areas. We can see contracts, we can see any type of information that is related to this specific document. So here is where my filing structure is. This is Rainer's bushwalks. Here is where I have my feeds. But in this Roselle hike, I may have as well my contracts. Specifically, when we talk about incident management, you have more than just pictures, but you have the supporting pictures inside ELO, and therefore they are compliantly stored. For today, I wanted to introduce ELO as the official launch of the ELO ECM Suite. I cannot talk about everything that the system allows you to do, but I wanted to give you an overview over the company as well as our partners. If you have any questions or something like this to our partners, everybody who participated today at this presentation will receive a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. And you will find here all the contact details for our business partners and as well, of course, our own contact details. We always say contact our partners first. Yeah, and only if our partners have queries, let us talk to the partners. Our partners are the source and the longevity you require and you want to have with a system like ELO. I will now unmute everybody so that I can then answer questions you may have. Okay, now I just need to know exactly how that works. Okay, while I'm doing this, yeah, I'm going to. Okay, so everybody should now be unmuted. Okay, could somebody say something so that I can see whether I click the right button?
I can hear you.
That is awesome, and I can hear you too. That is brilliant. So I don't know who that was, but I can hear you.
It was Ray Rayner.
Okay, awesome. So, any questions, please feel free to ask those questions because it's always important to have you as involved as possible into those presentations. Yeah. Anybody, anything? Come on, nobody is telling me that I've been brilliant in this presentation. Okay, let me just unmute all attendees. Okay, so this does not work at the moment, just in case you are. Dennis, can you say something, but I can hear you?
I certainly can.
Okay,
coming through?
So, yes, you're coming through. Thank you very much. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, so I take that for a yes. So what we often have been asked is whether the system fully works installed. So can you see, Dennis, if you could confirm that you can see ELO?
Sure can.
Okay, awesome. So what I wanted to show quickly is you've seen this from the PowerPoint presentation, the filing structure. Now, what ELO does, and we see this more and more, is you have the possibility to create e-forms. So let me see how that works with the e-forms.
Unmuted.
Sorry?
Sorry?
Benjamin. Okay.
Okay.
So at the moment here, it says that everybody is unmuted. So I'm not quite sure exactly whether you are or not. So if I'm putting something in here, so just something really new. So let's say we take Ashley from SAU, and his email is a@sau.com, and he works in, let's say, Sydney, and he works in the operations department. And then we have here a requirement. He wants to have a PC, and it is a capital expense. And the PC will cost $2,500. So what we're doing here with the e-forms is essentially having a form that submits documents straight to ELO. And what it will then do is, once the process has been created, let me just refresh that here. Yeah. We will now have in finance, in procurement, fiscal 21, Sydney, where did he work? Corporate, CapEx, procurement. No, that's the wrong one. He worked in operations. There we go. So what this does immediately is it turns a data entry field into a PDF so that it stores it compliant. But it starts as well a workflow in the background. And this workflow here is relatively straightforward. Yeah, where do you work? I work in Sydney and in operations, so it now needs to be approved by Johnny Walker. You see a little bit of a tendency here of my staff members, but at the end of the day, it is a very simple form to fill in on a web page, gets incorporated into ELO, and immediately starts the workflow. Now that can of course be anything, whether this is now a procurement form, yeah, or whether that is a form for incident management, whatever it is, whether this is on your mobile phone or whether that is on your website, that doesn't really matter. Yeah. So this is one of the things. Obviously, as well, we then have the possibility to log on to ELO using the web client. And what you see on the web client is that it is pretty much identical to your installed client. So we have here ELO, ACME, Finance, Procurement, Fiscal 21, Sydney, Operations, CapEx, Ashley. So, and you see as well from the top, everything is the same. Okay, so just going through some questions here. So for example, there was one question from Benjamin. So Benjamin asked, how long does it take to roll out standard core modules? A standard ELO installation, we are in many cases, we're up and running in 5 days. We need, once we have spoken to your IT department, and the servers are available or it is in the cloud, we can deploy the whole thing, yeah, in a very, very fast way. It takes possibly a day and a bit to have the actual installation done. So let's say a normal standard accounts payable facilitation, which is what we call click and tag, which really helps smaller accounts payable department. We're up and running in 5 to 8 days. Yeah. Now, of course, if you want to have many, many changes, then that will take longer. But usually you will find out that it is not necessary. Chris is asking whether I can show the integration from ELO into SharePoint. Unfortunately, not today, because in my virtual machine, I do not have that. But if you don't mind, I will send you some screenshots at a later stage. So sorry that I can't show it now live. Yeah, but we have a few screenshots where that is possible, and as well if you want to have a little bit on the architecture. I think as well on our website there are some hints and tips exactly for the SharePoint integration. Okay, are there any more questions? So let's say I am in Outlook and I have my documents here. Yeah, and I just want to have this filed inside ELO anywhere. So let's say human resources, personnel, yeah, and I will want to do this into Joe Blocks, and here are his requests. So I can take a document either directly using the ELO macro button, transfer to ELO, or if I only want to have the attachment, I can just take the attachment, yeah, and drag this into a folder. It pops up with the what we call the metadata form, and therefore then the document is just filed in the system, and you can see this here. And in the middle, this is where your document is. And from here, we can either start different workflows. Yeah, we have workflows. We can look at the properties. Yeah, or we have here, let's say, an ad hoc workflow. Yeah, so let me just click on this one. Ad hoc workflows. So if I want to start an ad hoc workflow, all I really need to do is serial parallel approval, and I have the possibilities, yeah, to say define what will be done when the document has been approved. So there are a million ways of using the system. Today we are a little bit time limited. What I would like to encourage you is contact our business partners to get the most information, and we will help our business partners to provide you with exactly the information you need. That is the most important part for us, because you will be significantly more successful with your implementation when you're using our business partners. If there is no business partner in your area, please contact us directly. It is very, very important for us to discuss with you what you may need. Okay, so for today, I really want to thank everybody for the participation. It was actually a record participation. We had many companies and as well people joining us today, and I'm really proud that I could present and launch the ELO ECM Suite in Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong today. Thank you very much and have a lovely day and stay healthy. Cheers.